So I called them, and the burn went away. The pain was gone, but I kind of just thought, it's not really, it would have gone away anyway. That's what I thought. So I wasn't going to call. But then at Thanksgiving, when it was very hectic and the turkey grease, I had the pan and the turkey grease flew out of the pan onto my foot, and it was very painful. And it was red. And I remember just thinking, oh, this really hurts. And she's like, call the fire burn doctor. So I'm like, I don't have time. Call the fire burn doctor. So I called, gave them the information. They called back. And sure enough, within, like I'd say 20 minutes, the pain was considerably less, like from an 8 or 9 down to a 4. And then within another 20 minutes, it was, about a 1 or a 2. About a 1. It's about a 1. And I think it would have been much worse. It would have been one of those things that hurt for days. And the healing process was miraculous. You just say miraculous. It was like, something that would take 36 hours took, 36 minutes. And it was, it's miraculous. It's amazing. It's almost like, think and it happens. So it's that fast. So it's amazing.
I called the fire burn doctor because I was lighting my furnace. It wasn't lighting and it wasn't lighting, and the gas was accumulating, and all of a sudden it lit and torched my hand, burnt my eyelashes off and my eyebrow and my hair. And I called the fire burn doctor right away, and within probably 5 minutes the pain was subsiding, but it never blistered, and I was able to wash dishes in hot water probably 7 hours later.
This incident happened about 3 years ago in Washington State. I was fooling around with a new lighter for pipe that I had just bought, and one of those tri-flame type gas propane or butane type lighters. I was trying to adjust the damn thing, and it went off. I was looking at it, playing with it, and it was a long flame. It just kind of woof. Yeah, but it just that quick. And anyway, what happened was it burned. The fire itself burned my face. And in so doing, I could feel that it was going to be a burn. It did not feel good at all. But I remembered the fire burn doctor team number. I had it on my phone, called and left a message. They called me back probably within, I think it was 10 minutes or so, maybe less. And already I could feel the difference. It went right away, minutes. It was just quite amazing. I was fully expecting a blister and all the accoutrements of a good fire burn, but that did not happen. I'm glad to say it didn't even blister, and even now, today, there was no scar, no mark. The next day, I would have never known that I had a burn.
My experience with the fire burn doctor came about 2 years ago, and I was working with a soldering iron, which I'd never used before. For hours, I'm playing with this thing, and I read the instructions, like do not touch, 800 degrees, whatever. So I had these like double pair of gloves on, but it so happened that both these pair of gloves had a hole. So after a couple hours, I got careless. I touched the tip of this thing, grabbing for it, grabbed the wrong part, and my skin hit the metal, and I freaked out because it hurt like hell. And I've been burned before, so I know the only thing that's gonna stop the pain is ice. So the first thing I do is run inside, get ice. I remember hearing about the fire burn doctor on the radio, and it stored the number. A bit of panic. I look online, find the number. The pain's increasing as I'm looking at this, so I know this is gonna be a bad burn. Ice is not helping at this point. I call. I have to leave a message. Nobody answers. I leave the information they ask, and I get a call back a couple of minutes later. And at this point, He said, "What's your pain level at?" And I'm like, 2? And I think I felt like I had to say something because, I called him a burn, but really at that point it was gone almost. And I was amazed. I said, "Did you do something?" He said, "Yes." I was expecting the pain to come back. It did not. Other than a tingle here and there. And an hour later, I called back, like you said, and there was no pain. And I was expecting a blister, and there was only 2 little white spots. 2 little where there should have been a huge blister.
There was a little girl in Ghana who the house caught on fire. There were 3 children. And she lost tissue across almost her whole abdomen and down the fronts of her legs. Now, with burns, if it's much larger than a quarter, they usually have to skin graft. That entails taking skin from another part of the body and putting it on there, or using, if that's not available, they have blown skin that they can use and various other methods. But this takes weeks, months, years to do. Most of the time when you have burns over 40% of the body, the patients very often don't make it. This child had been taken to hospital. I think it was a family friend who called in the burns, and this child healed. We have photographs of her now, and it's just amazing. Normally when you get burns, it takes all the pigment out of the skin. She didn't even lose the pigment on the skin. It grew back of its own accord. It's miraculous. I just thank God every day that this is the ability that we have now.
What if there were a way to heal fire burns within 30 minutes of fire exposure? What if fire burns could be healed remotely in any country in the world? Iraq, Afghanistan, India, Africa, Australia, Mexico, America? We invite you to help prove this is possible. It's easy and it's free, and we just need 3 pieces of information on anyone burned by fire. That's name, date of birth, place of birth, and if possible, send a photograph. That's it. You get to see proof of how this breakthrough treatment works.
For more than 25 years, I've been interviewing remarkable men and women, scientists, philosophers, authors, and visionaries. 8 years ago, I was introduced to Dr. Philip Savage, who has demonstrated in laboratories in Europe and the United States an unprecedented ability to change physical reality, to induce what we call miraculous healing, and much more. In an exclusive interview, Philip shared how he acquired some of his extraordinary skills, how he applies them, and how they can be taught to others. He described examples of thousands of people and animals he's helped, and we explored his ecological and humanitarian goals. Most importantly, he described his Imago project, designed to bring about a global evolutionary shift by awakening in as many people as possible humanity's full potential. If we can dream it, he said, we can do it. Dr. Philip Savage.
There is no separation between all beings. There is no separation between the mind, the soul, the body, one another, parents with children, children with family, family with the village with the country with the world, and the world with the universe, and with God. All one, oneness, unity, that's the whole point. That's what we have all forgotten. That means when I'm taking care of someone, from 1 inch or 1,000 miles, just the same. There is no separativeness. There is no separation between things. Everything is a flux. Everything is a movement of energy all the time. There is no life and death then. There is a perpetual continuation. And naturally, there is no distance, space, time. It's one single continuum. That's why it's so easy for me to surf, to switch between this multiple dimensional, multi-reality universe and make things impossible happen. They were impossible in one little reductionistic reality, but in another one, they were so simple to organize. You could do it, anyone can do it. I just happen to be the one right now with a key. I have the key, I can pass it to you, you can pass it to someone else. We need to go fast, to be very effective, to give proofs to people, give them example, and then to associate them, re-empowered. That's it.
Can you describe what was there? Inflammation? What was mark was there on the burn?
When I got out to Christine, it was shrieking, a really loud shrieking, and I got out there, and the chili was still heavy layer of it was on her hand, and then as some of it was coming off, we were trying to wipe it off or trying to get the water to take it off. Good layer of some swelling, redness. And it looked like you were saying, it looked like blisters were starting to form.
Yeah, they're like little kind of bubblish things.
And what happened to that after you called the fireburn doctor?
Within 10 minutes of calling and leaving the information on the line, 10 minutes later I heard Christine say, "Mom, there's a sensation in my hand. And it feels kind of good. It feels pleasant, And I just would watch. I didn't keep bringing up her hand, but I'd watch. And I see the redness little by little go, and any swelling go. And she was, at that 10-minute point, it was as if she was disengaged from the experience, that it didn't occur. And I watched her playing. She went on to sing some songs, some music that she had, talking about boys, and absolutely not.
So you just forgot about it like it never happened?
I've been working with a pressure washer from about 11 o'clock in the morning till about 4 o'clock at night, and the motor was really hot and it had run out of gasoline, so I went to go refill the tank. And when I was refilling it, I was leaning on it, and I'd gone and put my hand on top of the hot part of the motor, and as soon as I put my hand on it, it pulled back, and it's just, my whole hand was blistered white and really like throbbing, really painful.
And on a pain scale, 0 to 10, what would you say that was?
About a 9.5.
So that really
it was really intense. It was like one of those throbbing, like pains. And I immediately remembered hearing you say that if you ever got burned on the radio show, you called in and I heard you put out the phone number, and I had saved it in my phone, and I remember, hey, maybe they can do something. So I called in.
So you called, you gave your name, your date of birth, your place of birth, and fireburn doctor team member called you back. What happened then?
Yeah, I want to say I didn't even wait 3 or 4 minutes, and I got a call back, and I was kind of freaking out, and he just told me to calm down, and
we have those phone calls. Here is that first phone call now.
Okay.
When Chris called the fireburn doctor team.
Okay, my name is Chris Fleming. Christopher, CHRISTOPHERFLEMING. Christopher Fleming, I'm 22. I was born on July 16th, 7/16/86. And then 1986, and I'm in Norfolk, California. I just stuck my hand on a pressure washer motor right now, and it's burning hot, and I hope it's on fire right now. And my telephone number that I can reach, it hurts really, really bad. I meant right, being burn cream. It's 909-718-9473.
So within how long after calling the fireburn doctor did you call again?
He told me to return the phone call in a half an hour and let him know how I was doing. And I called him back like I said, and he called me right back. I left the message, I told him how I was doing.
Okay, we have those messages right now. These are the second and third calls that Chris left on the fireburn doctor team hotline.
Yeah, this one was left, and then after I left this one, about 10 minutes later was when I left the second one.
Okay.
Hey man, what's up? This is Chris. My telephone number is 9718943. I just wanted to call and report back to you about the pressure washer burning my hand off. When I called you, dude, I was on my way down to Rite Aid, I was in excruciating pain, and I couldn't even think straight. my hand was throbbing, and it like, it's really bad, dude. And I don't know what you did, but I love you, man. Thank you so much. You completely, I don't know how you did it. I don't know what you did. But whatever you're doing, it works. I'm going to tell all my friends, I'm going to tell all my family, everyone. I'm going to give everyone your phone number, dude, because whatever you did, dude, I don't know. But my hand's like not even red anymore, dude. The only thing that you can tell that I got burned is because like my skin looks like it got like what is the word? Like wrinkly. So when I move it a little bit, there's still a little bit of sensation, but my pain is like at like 1. It's less than that. Less than 1. Like 1 and less. Sometimes it's 1 and most times less. But dude, like, thank you so much, man. It's amazing. I don't know what you did, but you're great, dude. Thank you.
By that call, what was the pain level then? You're saying 1,
Yeah,
1
it was
and
like
2?
I was able to actually. I was still working at that point. Like I had gone back to work.
You went straight back to work.
Well, I actually like sat and like went on the computer, was hanging out for a little bit, and then like after about I made that phone call once it started getting better, and then I went back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was still a little bit of pain, and I mean not even 10 minutes later it was like boom, like an instant thing. Like it was like I didn't even think about it anymore. I had to stop and think. I was like, wait, I just hurt my hand. Like I shouldn't be hopping over the fence or like using it to pick up something, and it should be hurt.
So here's call 3 after it had completely gone.
Yesterday at 6:10 p.m. Hey, Doctor, what's up? This is Chris Fleming. I told you earlier. I just wanted to call again because I haven't heard back from you, dude. So you told me to call you back and let you know how I'm doing. This thing is amazing, dude. I don't know what you did or how this is happening, but like, dude, I love you, and it's fantastic. I can't even tell that. You can tell like there's anything wrong. Like, look at that. It's like nothing even happened, dude. And like, I should have taken a picture because before it looked like my whole hand was like blistered. Like it looked like it was gonna blister up, and like it was all swollen, it was all red, and there's nothing wrong with my hand. It looks like nothing even happened to it.
Grant Fryer is a toolmaker who worked in the shop behind his friend Jed Dole's house. Jed Dole is a sports photographer journalist who learned about Fireburn Doctor and tried, unsuccessfully, for months to get his local fire department to call in and video a live burn. Then on July 20th, 2010, right in his own backyard, Jed's friend Grant Fryer burned his hand badly. When the compressor overheated, Grant accidentally grabbed the hot tubing, trying to find out what was going on. Jed ran to the shop to shut off the power, then grabbed his video camera to film the very first live footage of a burn victim using Fireburn Doctor, recording the actual recovery within minutes of calling the Fireburn Doctor number. This astonishing real-time burn recovery, documented on film, is a first in human world history.
Okay, Grant.
Yes.
Tell me your name and what happened. Describe it to me and walk around and show me.
My name is Grant Fryer, and the compressor has been running all day today, so I went to check what's going on. I came back in here and drained the water off, and I heard a leak up here on the tube. And I reached in to see, and I grabbed a hold of this piece of copper tubing, and holy shit, I caught this finger, this finger, this finger, and this thumb. And
show me again. Your fingers?
This finger, this finger, this finger, and this thumb.
Okay, how does your pain feel right now?
It's about a 7.
About a 7,
8. And when I first touched it, it was like I said, holy shit. It was very painful. You know, I mean, it's cold beer. Cold beer is the only thing that stopped it from hurting. And right now, it's subsided somewhat from the original burn.
Okay, now what did we do then? I mean, what was the first thing you did? You came inside. I was watching TV.
Yeah, I came inside to tell you that the compressor was burning up, and I put my hand in cold water and got a cold beer.
Okay, right. So I ran out here and I turned off all the switches.
You came out here, turned off all power, and you said, call the burn doctor. And I'm like, okay, who? And I asked all this information. I'm like, I'm not going to give out that information. You go, well, here, they're going to call and do it. And so I talked to the gentleman and gave him my full birth name.
Let's look at some of the equipment you were working on.
Yeah.
How many times have you been cut and beat up? And
Yeah, I work. I'll work through burns.
deal with a lot of pain.
Yeah, I pick up parts all the time.
Turn that machine on.
I mean, I pick up hot parts all the time. So, and this is the hand that I use with the burn, so you see.
Right, he's got quad things. He says he's hurting.
No. I'll work through all kinds of pain, but this right here was, I had to stop.
So you say it was a 9?
Yeah, it's 9/8. It stopped me dead in my tracks. I mean.
How's it feel now?
Better.
How long has it been?
What, 25 minutes?
What time did it happen? Timestamp.
9:10 is when it happened, and we talked to the gentleman. Like, I hung up about 9:15 from it.
Okay.
So within a 5-minute time frame.
Since when you hung up till now,
yeah,
it feels a little better.
No, it does feel better. I mean, I could.
It feels better.
It feels better because I couldn't sit out here.
5 minutes ago, you told me it only felt good if I held my beer.
Right, exactly. I was about to say, if I didn't have the beer in my hand, if I let go of the beer, the pain ramped up too much and I couldn't take it. So
describe the pain. Was it throbbing? Was it like with your heart?
No. Steady
on.
Burn. Just.
Now, you've been burned before, right?
Oh, many times.
Okay, now, what did you tell me about this burn when it happened? You said these are going to be blisters.
Yeah, these are going to blister out.
These are going to blister out. He goes, see my fingertips? He goes, these are blisters.
Yeah, they're going to
Okay, so now have you even washed your hands?
No, I haven't.
Let's go wash your hands and take a look. We're going to turn on camera now. We're going to wash his hands. We're going to take a look at it. Let's look at it one more time, though. Let me see your hand.
Okay. There, and this thumb right here.
Okay, now his hands are dirty, so it's hard to see on camera, and there's also a black and white viewfinder. So let's get it washed up and see what they look like. So you seem to be rubbing your hands as though it's not even burnt.
No, I mean,
or are you rubbing it like it belongs to somebody else?
No,
it still hurt.
No, I'm saying I'm surprised how good I can scrub it.
Does it hurt still?
No. It doesn't.
No pain whatsoever.
No, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, Jed.
No pain whatsoever.
No, none at all, dude.
Say that again. There's
no
pain whatsoever.
No, I'm not bullshitting you, man.
Get the.
I'm kidding you, but look, I did blister right there, but I'm telling you right now, man.
It doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't fucking hurt.
Hold your head out. Let me look.
Okay, so that one blistered. And there's a blister right there. Right, a little bit.
You got a little bit of blister.
But
it's not hurting you, is what you're saying.
I would expect that to be a blister all the way across.
Right? So it's not blistering as much as you expected so far. And the bottom line is,
it doesn't hurt. Excuse me, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, Jed.
Right on.
I'm not kidding.
I just shot my phone that showed the Fireburn Doctor number. I showed that it's 9:39. At 9:18, you called the Fireburn Doctor in your pain, and you showed me the blisters, please. You told that doctor that you had a pain threshold of an 8 or a 9.
Right.
And that was 25 minutes ago,
yeah.
approximately.
Yeah.
You are now, what did you just do? And from what I can see, you're back at work.
Yeah.
You haven't even stopped working.
No,
what's your pain threshold like?
2, maybe 1. I can tell that I burned my fingertips just because my mind says I know it.
But all of 30 minutes later.
Yeah. Put it this way: 15 minutes ago, I could not hold something cold. I had to have something cold to keep the pain away. The minute I let go, it'd go right back up to a 9 or 10.
All right. There we go. Next morning, 14 hours later. Tell us about your hand. What happened last night?
Well, after burning my hand last night, calling the Fireburn Doctor, and going through the protocol he required, I've got some small blisters on my fingers, but I don't know I burned my hand
last night. Can you hold them out still for me so I can see them? Right on.
But I can't tell I burned my hand other than the fact I can see visually. I mean, I have no pain. You know, if you squeeze a blister, a little irritation, but no problem. It does.
So, in other words, you would suggest this to other people that it worked?
it worked for me, and I said, it's so crazy, you know, you sit there and you're so speculative, you're like, oh, that's all joke. Well, joke or not, there's things that happen, and this worked for me. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would tell other people to do it. Give it a shot. It's painless to try.
With, say, Richard Cox, who's another recent burn case, who'd burnt himself on a metal mesh basket in his bedroom that had caught fire,
Yeah.
and he'd walked the distance like kung fu style out of the house with this metal basket.
Right.
That was a third-degree burn, and he was on the way to the hospital, and he called his father, a stepfather, who was connected to a friend of mine, and cut a long story short, his details were sent through. Before he got to the emergency room, his pain had gone. He didn't need painkillers by the time he got to the emergency room. The nurse thought that it was going to need desloughing, the usual thing with a nasty burn. They have to prevent infection. But the time the duty doctor came round to examine it after the nurse had done her thing, he said, I don't think we need to do anything. Put a dry dressing on it and send him home.
It worked on me. On May 26, 2009, my hands were badly burned in a fire. I grasped hot metal really hard. Very painful. On the way to the hospital, the pain disappeared. No infection ever. My wounds healed in record time. I didn't even know anyone took care of me from a distance. My stepfather gave my information.
Joe Lowe, Fire Chief. I know it works.
Since most processes, most diseases relate to self-destruction, what it takes me is just to bypass you, to circumvent your will of self-destruction, to reestablish the harmony, the normal functioning of the soul, mind, body interactions, and nothing else, and stop killing yourself. If we can come back to the burns now, for example, that's an interesting subject.
Yes.
Because burns represent an anomaly. In terms of so-called diseases, the only anomaly are burns. It's, I guarantee, a 100% rate of success, period. If I fail once on burns, I'm out of the job. I take my word for it. Third-degree burns. Burns, I could take care of 100,000 a day without bragging. 100,000 people burn simultaneously. Why? It's because it doesn't take me anything. It doesn't cost me an ounce of energy. Nothing. It's just like bypassing you completely and shifting reality once and for all. You know that there are people who died of cold in a locking room, frigorific system, who believed the system was on, but wasn't, and they die at 72 Fahrenheit. Of cold, with frozen bites and everything. That's the power of the mind. You can also suggest to someone that is holding, instead of a pen, some kind of an electric resistance that's very hot, and you're going to generate burns second degree on the fingers. That's the power of the mind. When you're exposed to fire, it creates a horrible pain. Nothing but very superficial. Even when you expose 5 minutes to flame, when you think about it, assuming you didn't inhale, of course, the heat and your brain wasn't damaged, it's just like 5 millimeters of skin that has been barbecued. But all your organs are fine, everything is fine, just the pain is unbearable. And then your brain gives a signal of self-destruction. And then you start to generate edemas and everything. That's your body, that's the immune internal physiological reaction that kills after burns. My work is very simple. I bypass those. And I do nothing else. It doesn't cost me a thing. I couldn't do. That's why I don't even have to charge. Okay, that's public. You can send me any fireman you want, any burn. I could also teach people in half an hour groups all over the planet, you know, some kind of emergency team in case there will be a nuclear blast, in case there will be something really bad happening. You know, I can teach firemen, but also volunteers, people how to heal burns, because they could do it on a wider scale. They can be everywhere in every city where it happens. And this is also the most simple thing to be tested scientifically. You know, give me cells, we burn them, and we see the difference between the batch haven't been taken care of and the one have. And people will do exactly the same. What people need, once again, proofs. Empiricism, not new messages.
It worked on me. In 2005, my arm was badly burned and fixed in 3 minutes. My mum took care of it. She learned how to do this just like Dr. Joseph did.
Dr. Joseph, medical doctor,
emergency room and private practice student of Philippe Sauvage. Philippe Sauvage's advanced science technology is called subliminal distant influentiality, SDI, which is why Philip's fireburn tests prove for the first time at a scientific level the existence of a higher power that can be accessed for dramatic accelerated healing unknown to modern medicine. When it is used on fireburn at a distance, the results of SDI are extremely dramatic, highly visible, and immediate. SDI can also be used in many other human and animal crises and all health problems. For example, drug and alcohol addiction, accidents, childhood trauma, including sexual abuse, family and business crises, can also be used for private and international security.
In 2007, my neck was broken in a car crash. A C2 brake just like Christopher Reeve, but I was back to work in a week. Philip took care of me immediately, from a distance.
First saved message sent Wednesday, December 19th, 2007 at 10:50 p.m. Urgent message.
Hello, doctor. I'm a friend of Tad. He's from Seattle, and Tad was in a very bad car accident. His car is on the median here. Tad asked me to call you and let you know what I'm seeing. For some reason, he has a bruise above his eye. He said his right arm is hurting him very much, and so is his right leg, and his left leg and his left arm. His car is in the middle of the median. It's very badly bruised up. It was hit by a Jeep somehow, and they're putting him on a stretcher right now, and that they're bringing him to a hospital. They had to cut his clothing off. I don't know what kind of serious damage was done to him, but he's speaking, and he's really barely able to move. They're about to close up the doors. I think that he can't hear me anymore. He's in the ambulance now. Clarity on both sides, right?
Starters, I was T-boned by an SUV at 40 miles an hour. He crushed my car. The window slammed against my head at 40 miles an hour, shattered the window, broke my neck. The firefighters had to cut me out of the car with the jaws of life. Policeman on the scene said that he was surprised I was not mashed potatoes. When I got to the ER, they ran me through all kinds of CTs, MRIs, and X-rays. In a follow-up visit, I asked the neurosurgeon, why did you run me through all these scans? And he says, no one comes out of an accident like that without multiple facial fractures, multiple skull fractures, torn tendons, significant brain bleeds, if not brain damage, and internal chest cavity injuries. And I had none of that. I did have a C2 break in the neck. Something else interesting. The neurosurgeon tells me I had the same C2 fracture as Christopher Reeve. And the only difference between Reeve and me was that Reeve's tendons gave out, mine held. And Reeve was Superman. He was an expert horseman, bodybuilder, and me. I work on a computer all day. So Reeve was also in a coma for 3 weeks and quadriplegic for the rest of his life, a short one. I didn't even have a concussion. With a window shattering against my head at 40 miles an hour, no concussion. I was completely conscious the whole time, was able to assess my injuries, fully possessed with the ability to give instructions for a phone call to be made to call in Philip Savage to help me, no pain. That's in the documents, no pain. Patient refused pain medication. The absence of injury to begin with was fantastic. It's beautiful not to be quadriplegic, not to have been in a coma, to have been fully conscious and no pain. It's beautiful. But beyond that, the prognosis after getting to the ER was 9 months to a year of full knitting of the bone, being in a neck collar for at least 6 months, and somewhere in around the 6 month range, whether there'd be therapy or not. I didn't need any therapy at all for this neck.
On January 11th, 2010, 2 years after my almost fatal car crash, I was riding my bicycle home from work with a heavy pack on my back when I suddenly fell headfirst off the bike onto the pavement, flat on my face, breaking my nose and hand. The face and nose being directly in front of the neck, my chances of crippling, life-threatening damages were certain. All the doctors I had seen 2 years earlier repeatedly warned me to be very careful about stepping off a curb, meaning that one wrong move and I could be dead, or paralyzed for the rest of my life. Well, that didn't happen. I walked away from this bike crash with no pain, not even the slightest twinge in my neck, and went to work the next morning. 2 weeks later, I took the x-rays from this accident to my former neurosurgeon, Dr. Koo, to find out what might have happened to my neck. Dr. Koo was shocked and amazed and said that nothing Absolutely nothing had happened to my old broken neck. He said it had healed up perfectly, and was still perfect even though I had just smashed my face and broken my nose. He said the joint spacing was right, there was no tightness of tendons, my range of motion was great, and if he weren't my neurosurgeon 2 years before, he wouldn't even know from the current x-ray that my neck had ever been broken, and that was amazing. What a fantastic gift from Philip, who I then told Dr. Koo all about.
Let's put it this way, the day I walked out, the afternoon I walked out of Philip's office, I wept with relief. I sat and meditated, and then I went for a walk in unfamiliar mountains, and I was doing and navigating and doing physical movement better than I have ever done in unfamiliar territory, dangerous mountainous territory. I went out for 24 hours, totally green to the whole situation.
Did you have any withdrawal, any kind of unusual coming away from drugs? Did you have any
No, there was no pain. There was no pain, no withdrawal, and just, like I said, a blessed relief of a huge, painful, unhealthy burden and habit that I had, that I no longer have.
I was a drug addict for over 20 years. Now I am not. At 36, I'd been seriously damaged by LSD, DMT, ecstasy, cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, crack, mushrooms, marijuana, hashish, and alcohol. Philip removed the addictions, and the misery of an entire childhood engulfed in alcohol, drugs, my father's pornography, and the violence that was the consequence of these afflictions. Now, after 9 years, no drugs, no alcohol, and no violence. There was absolutely no pain, no symptoms of withdrawal. My vision, my hearing, my memory, and my balance, damaged from head injuries and substance abuse, were restored during the course of 2 visits to Philip Savage. It's an ecstatic experience to be blessed by Philip's cares. To receive so much in just minutes with him, having spent years consciously and unconsciously destroying my own abilities and potential. Restoration is an understatement. Enhancement is the boon of Philip's cares, a radical enhancement. But not just for me. Everyone I know who has been to see Philip Savage has received major miracles. A friend of mine suffered a life of sexual abuse and rape since she was a baby. After just 1 visit to Philip Savage, she could stand tall, proud, a liberated woman, declaring none of it ever happened. These personal accounts bring to light our relation to the environment, to the world at large, where we now need the biggest miracle of all for our Earth herself. Those degradations, the diseases and disasters that have been perpetrated upon this Earth, they were giving me nightmares throughout my entire childhood. Never has a solution been offered to eradicate these gravest threats facing us all. No one is exempt from the 3 strands of destruction converging in us right now. Viral, climatic, and geopolitical chaos are taking a major hold over the world. Scientists, environmentalists, the common man have been crying out for a solution, a global solution for decades. The world's richest men at the top are very lonely. They don't have a solution and they know it. Philip Savage is calling out to us, reaching out for all his life and for this final time, informing the world's elite of his unique ability to help. Without Philip's cares, I would already be dead. Thank you, Philip, for my life. I now see how important your presence is for everything. Thank you.
I hadn't seen my daughter for months and months. There was a situation going on at her dad's house that wasn't necessarily healthy. I talked to the fire burn doctor about what was going on in my life. I mean, as far as this case and stuff, and I told him, you know, that this daughter of mine, she's beautiful. She's like the nicest little person you ever meet. And so court comes and my attorney screws up, and we didn't even have to go to court. He tells me, he says, stop in my office before you get to the courthouse. And so I did. And he tells me, you got custody. He says, your ex-husband and stuff, they said, yeah, you got custody of her. She's yours. You know? And so, I miss her. I was so blown away by the whole concept. And I talked to the fire department doctor, and he said, yeah. He says, it's basically, I got here, everything he told me. I didn't have to worry about anything. It'll turn out the way it's supposed to. And there's no reason at all that I should have gotten custody, other than the fact that she needed to come and live with me. We've been blessed. I mean, we've been, So the fire doctor doesn't just works in mysterious ways, you might say, but he's definitely karmic circle has been complete there. I mean, that's basically all I got to say.
On August 24th, 2006, Philip Savage took care of a 19-year-old crippled horse called Paddy from a distance of more than 1,000 miles, bringing about the most dramatic restoration of life ever seen in a real-time video.
So what we're going to do is get him to move, firstly slowly, just to get him to warm up, and then try and make him trot, just to prove how difficult it is for him to get into trot. First of all, I'm going to do it with Dolly to show how easily she'll go into trot, and then faster and faster. And he finds it very difficult to do anything more than a walk. Okay, so should we move to Dolly? Yeah. Get him moving. Come on, bud. That's a normal horse. A normal horse will do that till they're about 18, 19 years old. Pretty much the same as that, without a problem. And as far as Paddy's concerned, it's not impossible, but it's hugely uncomfortable, and he hates the pain that he gets in his front legs from it. So we're just going to display how different Paddy feels about that idea. Go on, Pad. Okay. Come here. Come on. Move. Walk on. Don't chase him behind the back. Come on, walk on. Come on. Are you getting his leg? Yeah. Go on, Pat. Go away. Don't go in front of him and stop.
Just be here and stand still. Then.
Yeah. Then I do the same thing with the whip with Paddy. Even if I go like this, he really doesn't want to move. Like a normal horse. It just makes him trot. You He can trot a little way, but to get him into trot just for a few strides is extremely difficult. Go on, boy. See? He's in trot now.
Most neighbouring horse owners and veterinarians recommended that he should be put down to end the horrible pain in his arthritic legs and uncontrollable itching that left him with scabs, open sores, thick hard skin and a severe loss of mane and tail. Paddy was shrunken, miserable and barely able to move for lameness, with a staring coat and a permanently resigned grimace on his face. 5 minutes after Philip's remote treatment, actually a specially trained student of Dr. Savage did the SDI processing. Paddy was running around the field for the first time in years. This took everyone witnessing the event so much by surprise.
Beautiful boy! Dolly fancies you, Paddy!
Just 2 weeks after that processing, Paddy was strong enough to run all over with Dolly, his 3-year-old companion, displaying an impossible transformation and improving dramatically every day. Paddy quickly regained the majestic size, stature and musculature of a heavy Irish cob. His coat and skin were totally restored, his eyes shining and clean, and his mane and tail became longer and bushier than ever before. He was able to be ridden and exercised daily, and did so with amazing agility, dynamism, and a youthful zest for life. Paddy ran all over the field with energy, enthusiasm, and great beauty, even trying to jump the fence, which before was totally impossible for him. Before Philip Savage took care of Paddy, Rosie invited a few dozen people, including me, to view this poor horse, so that after Philip's processing, these people could witness something that they would never believe unless they saw it with their own eyes. Everyone was amazed, wiping their eyes, dropping their jaws, and virtually speechless. "Wow," was repeated over and over. Before he looked at least 28, but now he looks half his age. Some proclaimed him to be a totally different horse. These people wrote their astonishing reports. This video documentation is the only one of its kind in the world, because no one else in the world can do what Philip Savage did or does. Proof is what people need. Here it is for those with eyes to see.
He's a scientist and well known for his work in paleontology. Radical, but well respected. He was on TV shows that drew audience response, 12 million viewers, equivalent of 70 million in US terms. That's a lot of people watching one guy. And why are they watching? Because he could do what no one else could do. Where medical science ends is where he begins. What they can do, he does not, and what they cannot do is what he can. His reputation as a media person with articles in the press, radio, and TV, it culminated in 1990 when he was invited as a special guest on the most popular French TV host show on an independent TV station, TF1. He appeared on that show with several people that he had taken care of, people that suffering from cancer, all the way from cancer, depression, family, a man representing his family, everyone in his family, wife, daughter, himself had been helped. On this show, there was a woman, a mother with a baby, 1 or 2-year-old baby, that had been diagnosed with cystic fibrosis in the womb. Philip took care of that baby, and the baby was born without any trace of cystic fibrosis, nor was it evident in the mother's genetic structure anymore. So that was a premiere in genetic treatment. And that was pretty astounding. From cancer to brain tumors to heart disease to crippling effects of some, operation or mistake or accident, kidney failure. I have seen the restoration of vision, of things that are simply impossible according to medical standards. And it has been I don't say unbelievable anymore or amazing. And he doesn't. He says it is not extraordinary. In each one of us are these healing powers, these ability to self-heal, and he awakens them, empowers, enhances, removes the pain, the fear. That alone liberates being to many degrees, psychologically, emotionally, and the effects show physically. At the California Institute of Human Science, which is where I met Philip, they were doing 2 years of testing on him. They were testing his brain waves. They were testing his before and after of all his patients for 2 years. He broke the records in all cases. In one case, it went off the charts. The chart didn't have a limit for his results. That was a kidney failure. And all of a sudden, after one treatment, bursts of energy into the kidney. The person is revitalized with health, but maintained, it's documented, for several years. Also at the California Institute, they have a shielded room. It's called a Faraday cage, and they're very proud of it. There's very few of them built, and it's built to block electromagnetic waves. People at the Institute were documenting Philip. So the idea was for Philip to do a processing while in the shielded room. If there was an effect from his processing that was observable in the subjects while he was in that shielded room, that his technology has little or nothing to do with electromagnetism. And electromagnetism is the structure of our physical world. So that what he is doing is taking place at a much more fundamental level. And that's exactly what happened. The effects were astoundingly dramatic. And documented that Philip does in fact take care of the cause of the problem. That's what he's known to do. Also, what they did at this institute and at the other institutes in California, other doctors and researchers got in on this and mapped his brain. The EEG standard way, and then another way called the brain mapping. In one case, the brain mapping that was done shows a picture of the alpha band, and it increased from resting to processing state 40 times, not 40%, 40 times what it started out as. These scientists had never seen anything like this ever from a human brain. Philip, Dr. Sauvage, is unique. There's no question about it. It's been documented for 30 years. So we need no more proof. We have all the proof anyone could ever ask for. And he has a team of people he's worked with. He can train people, teach people. And when I met Philip, I was able to see that there was something extraordinary about him and his commitment and his vitality and his concern and his stature. I met him before I knew what he stood for, but I recognized it as something very grand, very high, very purposeful for people, but also all of nature, animals, trees, and the earth itself. His appearance was timely. We're in a critical time. I knew that. So there's got to be a solution. As soon as I met Philip, I knew we had a solution, and it was up to us to use him.
The trick is there is no spoon. There is no fire. No, nothing is really real, but fire is an illusion. The Druids, the real ones, had a special concept for fire, and that was not part of the element, but it was an usurper of element. Looks very much like it's alive, air, ground, and fire. No, fire is an illusion, like time, like many things. But this one is so easy to unveil, to expose as an illusion, to experiment. So that's why I have such rate of results. Amazing. And I guarantee someone who has been burned 3rd degree, barbecued, they're going to give him mega doses of morphine and let him die in an hospital. I guarantee that person can play tennis basically without scarification 3 weeks later, if I can take, or any one of my students will take care of the person. Which means optimally, I can guarantee the 100% rate of success and of without scarification within minutes of the exposure to fire. After an hour, I could, or they could, my students, have a slight rate of unsuccesses. After a day, this is too late. Okay, so rush when you burn yourself. Yeah. Rush.
This is Camille. I spoke with you about an hour ago and then another half an hour ago. I just wanted to thank you so much. My pain is literally at a 0, and the burn is like, you can hardly tell that there's a burn there. It's pretty much all healed. But I just wanted to thank you so much, and I'm definitely going to pass the word to everybody about this.
Hello, Dr. Watson. This is Mitchell. I wanted to say thank you again for helping me with my pain relief and my burn situation, and let you know that it's now down to less than 1 as far as the pain scale goes, from a scale from 1 to 10. I can't thank you enough, and I will tell everybody I know.
This is Larissa. Call you back. It's not quite 30 minutes. It's been 22 minutes. All pain is gone. Thank you very, very much.
Returning your call within at the half an hour mark as requested. This is Scott. I feel no pain. I haven't been thinking about it. I thank you, and I'm going to go to your website and pass the word.
Yes, hi, this is Yolanda. Thank you very much. The sting and the pain is completely gone, and so it's just amazing, quite amazing that the pain is gone, and it feels completely fine now. So I don't know how you do it, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My theory on how it works?
Yeah.
I have not a clue. I mean, you tell me how quantum entanglement works. I don't know. Yet physicists have observed it, and they tell me that you change the spin of this electron, and instantly, no matter where it is, the spin of that other electron will change. Okay, how does it work? We don't know.
However you want to look at it, I really don't care what it is, as long as it works. But this works. It definitely works. And, if it was your child, your grandbaby, pulled a pot of boiling water over on themselves, what would you do? I would call the fire department doctor immediately, as well as 911, because I've seen this work, and it's phenomenal.
Well, certainly I was amazed at how well it worked. Being somewhat of scientific background, I have 2 master's degrees. I was basically wondering how it works, and I still wonder how it works. I guess there is more to life than we normally see. There is more to consciousness than what we perceive, a regular person perceive.